Okay, no, I'm not gonna do that the whole time. Yes, everybody, welcome here. It's time for another good old episode of the show. We're taking a look at the Voiceless Voice archetype, which is a newer archetype based around ritual summoning, and lots of setup with this one. A lot of setup-y sort of things that go on with this deck. We're taking a look at a combination of the Voiceless Voices with Melodious Diva, a very ironic sort of combination of cards that, with just a single card, can result in massive boards, fill our board up completely, turn one, that sort of thing. It's very combo heavy, but surprisingly very free and open-minded when you get down to it. So we got ourselves our Voiceless Voice deck combined with the Melodious Divas, but of course I had to put my own spin on it because people have done this before. So I thought to myself, Bystials. Why not? Add a little element of chaos into there. A lot of potential right there. So we got ourselves our Voiceless Voice Melodious Bystial deck, and we're going to be taking that out of yugioh approach and off this deck, show off the wombos and the combos, the what do's and the what not do's, and have ourselves a good old time. So let's of course get started. We're going to go into it. If you want the whole deck list, it's at the end as always, but for now, let's head on to the action, show off what this baby can do. Alrighty, everybody, our first opponent, another day, another card game, and we were trying to go first as often as possible with this deck. We always hope for Ostinato, because that's like a really goated card in this deck, which we sadly didn't get, but that's okay, because we have other things we can do. So we're going to start with our pre-purple brights, try to bait out mash blossoms and things of that nature, and we'll go ahead and get ourselves started up with the Voiceless Voice package, as that is our easiest package to go for. Good old Serapha, or Saphira. I always call her Serapha. But regardless, we're going to go ahead and use her effect. And we're going to go ahead and grab our shells. We already have Skull Guardian. I'm going to get Saphira the Divine Dragon of the Voiceless Voice, which we rarely summon, but it is something I can summon whenever I want. And we're going to go for there. You know, the Voiceless Voices themselves, very straightforward bunch, honestly. Very straightforward. You just go focus on this guy, Skull Guardian, Guardian of Skulls. When he goes onto the board, he's going to search me out one of my Voiceless Voice monsters. And it gets me low. Low is most important monster in this deck, because while I have her, this guy gets an Omni negate. Also, Saravis negates anything that targets my ritual, so that's why we have this dude in the deck. And you can put 1, 2, 3 copies. I wouldn't go above 2, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean? He just protects us from the imperms, the effect veilers, things of that nature. And we're going to get the Barrier of the Voiceless Voice. This is a very goated card. It's going to prevent my opponent from attacking low. And I'm going to go ahead and grab my trap, because I'd like to interrupt my opponent a little bit. Like I said, I don't have my Ostinato, so I can't do the whole combo. But this will at least show you, this is the most bare bones basic that you want to see this deck doing right here. Let's see. That's going to be it for now, yes. For now, that'll do. I've got my Skull Guardian. Since I have low on the board, he is doubling himself in attack power. He is there to protect low. She only has 50 attacks, so she needs plenty of protecting. And we're up against the Raizeol archetype. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to allow this to go for a bit, because I do know Raizeol's a little bit. I do know that he likes to swarm the board quite a bit. And he's going to try and make a bunch of, rank 4 Xyz monsters and things. That is the main goal of this dude's deck. And so he'll get a Raizeol node, and he's going to get that back to summon out a third monster. Good old Palma Raizeol, which took me a while to realize this is a hand, but there you go. Really, I'm trying to wait until he summons the Raizeol that searches stuff, because then I can interrupt that. That guy. There he is. Alright, so he's got the Raizeol Duo Drive. And do I want to stop that now, or do I stop it later? I don't think it matters too much. Let's see. Summon attachment Raizeol, blah, 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 blah. I'd rather stop this now, because I do remember that the Raizeols have that nasty new field spell of theirs that can interrupt this. Like, interrupt negations and the like, so I'd rather get rid of that now, if possible. So we'll get rid of the big dude, and yeah, he can still do stuff, but I don't really care, because I have my Omni negate, so I just stop another thing. And my opponent will surrender right there. Well, that'll happen sometimes. You know, you have the interrupts, you have the negates. People will, if they're not prepared for it, they're just going to run. It's an unfortunate scenario in Yu-Gi-Oh! Nowadays, but 'tis what happens. But regardless, you get that is the bare bones of Voiceless. Like I said, this deck can do so much more. It's insane how much more it could do. So we're going to keep dueling, and we're going to try our best, and hopefully we can get Ostinato, because that way I can show off, like, the whole combo. So, enough talking. Let's get on to duel number 2. Show off more what this deck can do. Alrighty, second opponent. Let's go and do it again. Alright, come on. Scissors, scissors. Scissors again. I should have gone with paper. Alright, well, regardless, at the very least, we got Ostinato. Alright, now we just need to survive whatever this is, which we shall. Haha. Why did you want to go first? I guess he just bricked. Well, regardless, let's show off that Ostinato. Come on, baby. This is the combo. This is where this deck goes from 0 to like 250. We're gonna summon Bocce. You always want to use like 2 of the refrains. I'll briefly mention what we're doing as we go, but this does get a little complicated at times, so pay attention. We're gonna summon another refrain, and refrain is going to nab us a couplet. I was originally playing 1 couplet, because you only really need 1 couplet to do this combo, but sometimes you just kind of, you kind of have her in your hand, and that's not good, so I ran 2 just to avoid that sort of thing. So we're going to activate couplet, and we're going to use her effect, which allows us to nab our fusion spell. And that's right, that way we can fuse. We do need to have nothing but Melodious, so turn order is very important with this deck. You gotta know, like, when to summon what. So, we start off with Melodious, Boom Makachu, and now both of our pendulum scales go into the pendulum zones. We don't pendulum that often in this deck, but every so often. You know, if you get your extra deck set up enough, then go right ahead. But we're going to summon Arai's Revolution Dragon, or Absolute Dragon, whatever your bloody name is. This guy. We're going to summon that guy, and we're going to go ahead and pendulum summon. Or not pendulum. We're summoning beyond the pendulum. I'm getting my words mixed up. I'm so excited. We're showing off the whole combo here. So, we're going to use Beyond the Pendulum. That's going to search us some stuff. And then all of these effects are going to activate. Botch's effects going to activate. Bring back Refrain. And we're going to go ahead and draw a card. And you do want to make sure you go in roughly this order. Draw the card. Get the Pendulum, which I should have put in another zone, but it doesn't really matter too much. Get Absolute Toot Dragon. And then search out Couplet. Very good. So, now that we've done all of that nonsense, let's go ahead. I don't need to go for my rank 4, because I have everything. But we will pendulum summon everything we can. We are going to leave some stuff in our hand for now, because we don't need it. But this will go ahead for our Diviner of the Herald. We'll go ahead and send our Herald to the grave. And let's search ourselves a Seravis. Just to get that guy going. And we'll go from there. Let's see. Let's see. I need to keep Absolute Force Dragon on the Bard. So let's go ahead and use these 2. Sure. Let's go ahead and make Masquerade. It doesn't really matter too much that we do this, but you never know what sort of nonsense your opponent's going to be up to. So we'll summon Appaloosa, the Bow of the Goddess, and we'll use Saphira's effect. I'm going to go ahead and ditch her. We have a few negates there with our good friend Iodized Vortex Dragon. And we'll search out our Skull Guardian. Best thing about this combination, I am not locked in anything. My opponent, sadly, surrenders. Unfortunate. Okay, we'll count the first duel and the second duel as like 1 whole win, because those are both very short. But, yeah, see, that's what the Ostinato is all about. And we weren't even done, okay? I was about to summon Skull Guardian. That's another negate. And I also have this Nemesis flag right here, which can summon out Protoss. Well, it searches Protoss, so we summon Protoss. Lock our opponent out of dart monsters for a whole turn. So that's pretty impressive. You can essentially lock out your opponent's whole hand with this combo. Unless they've got kaijus, there's very little they can do about this, barring Dark Ruler no more. For Dark Ruler, kaijus, that's pretty much your biggest threats with this deck. But, you know, the only other threat is, like, my opponent just rage quit. So, let's go ahead for duel number 3. Hopefully we'll get our opponent to at least stick around for the whole duel. Maybe doing a bridge version of the combo, but, you know, that was the combo right there, folks. That's what 1 Sonata will do for you in this deck, is just build, two Omni Negates, 4 Monster Effect Negates. What else do you need? Alrighty, our third opponent to the fight in third. And, yeah, I like to go first. First is the worst, some say, but I like to go first. Thank you very much. And, okay, so we have a pretty cut down hand, but it's a hand nonetheless. So I can go ahead and get my boy. Oh, look at Seravis. We'll get Seravis, I suppose. Well, it's not the hand I really want right now. It's not going to be a very great hand, unfortunately, because now I got to use Sir Ravis for this. I realize I need to save my normal summon. I need low, because without low, like I said, the Voiceless Voice doesn't do much. That's both their greatest strength and their greatest weakness, the Voiceless Voice. It's very easy to set up this, like, Omni Negate with the Skull Guardian, and, you know, you get Barrier, that protects low from being attacked and such. So, it's pretty good there. But without low, the deck doesn't do much of much. It's one of those decks. One of those, you kind of have to set things up a certain way sort of decks. And we'll just end our turn for now. That'll work. That'll work for now. I've got my Radiance of the Voiceless Voice, so I can just bounce and destroy stuff. It doesn't bounce. I'll get my words mixed up. It destroys stuff. You get the number of rituals I've got. I've got an Imperm if I need it. So I have just enough interruption and negats that I should be able to weather a fair number of things. Not everything in the game, but it'll work out. You know, because I've got my Skull Guardian. Which, by the way, he can't be targeted with card effects right at the moment because I've got the barrier. That's why it's called the barrier. Those are barricades. What is this? Neo Kaiser Seahorse. Control Blue Eyes. Summon this card to target a light tuner. Increase or decrease slow by 1. This card sends a field to graveyard. Send a Blue Eyes or monster that mentions it from the deck to the grave. Okay, so this is a Blue Eyes deck. Okay. And this is going to send a Blue Eyes, and this is going to... Let's see here. What do I want to do here? I guess I'll just end... I'm just going to not interrupt for now. Blue Eyes White Dragon. People have asked me to take a look at the new Blue Eyes stuff, and I do still want to do that. It's just, it feels so wrong, this new Blue Eyes support, because now it's not about what Blue Eyes are about. Blue Eyes has always been this gung-ho battle-themed archetype about beating over stuff and doing lots of damage. And now it's just about, you know, using Spirit of Blue Eyes and going into the Synchro on your opponent's turn to give you an Omni Negate, and I just don't like that. I would do it, and I really want to do it. I just gotta... I got to structure it in such a way that it's more of a going second thing. That's my one big beef about it. So yeah, White Stone of Legend. And what does this do again? You can trigger this card, summon a Blue Eyes from the hand or the grave. Which currently there is no Blue Eyes there. Let's see. Let me think about this. Okay, keep going, keep going. My monster's bigger than yours, so, you know, go ahead, summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon. Then I assume that, yeah, that comes back. What does this do in the... Again, let's see. Let's see. If you summon a Blue Eyes, summon this card. Card for an attack. Okay. Alright. We're gonna get another tuna. You got another tuna? I got that tuna. Well, I don't have a tuna right now. But this is a tuna. I have light tuners too, and mine's bigger than yours. What say ye to that, sir? Alright, so, Blue Peep, Spiritual Dragon. Got the Blue Eyes White Dragon again. My opponent really likes this particular artwork. And I will imperm you now. Maybe that was a bad idea, because this was gonna... I mean, it doesn't really matter if I target the Maiden, because, yeah, he'll get a Blue Eyes on the board. But I don't care too much. It's just regular old Blue Eyes. It's just the vanilla. What's the worst that could possibly... Oh, you can get the White Stone, too. Either way. It doesn't matter to me. Doesn't matter too much. Because you got the Spirit Dragon. What does this do? Summon a Blue Eyes from the anywhere, but you can only summon a Blue Eyes with this effect if you don't control it. Okay. Fusion of Fusion, using monsters from a hand or field as a material, including a Blue Eyes White Dragon. Okie dokie. I mean, he's really trying to fusion summon. He just really wants to fusion summon. That's just what he wants to do. Alright, what are you gonna do? Another Spirit Dragon. Another Ruddy Spirit Dragon. Alright, let me think about that. That's a once per turn thing, right? Once per turn. No, that is not a once per turn sort of deal. Oh. Memphis doesn't like that as much. I don't like that that's not a once per turn. Well, regardless, I'll stop the spirit drive. Unless I'm just not reading this right. No, that does not appear to be a once per turn. But I guess it must have been because my opponent he surrendered. Oh, okay. Why you surrendered is a bit of a question. I mean, duel seemed pretty. It was still up in the air, my dude. I guess that one Omni negate from this guy is a bit stronger than I thought. Okay. Well, regardless, so far, modern Yu-Gi-Oh players are just like so easy to. They don't got any gumption. You should see the people on my streams. Those guys, they won't give up so easy. Not at all. So. Let's go ahead for a fourth duel, which at this point might even turn into a fifth duel because he's getting very short. But let's go for a fourth duel, and with any luck, we'll get that We'll go first, get Ostinato and the Skull, and my opponent won't rage quit. That would be really good. All right, everybody, our fourth opponent of the day. I don't have to do fourths, but because this is going very, very quickly, I think that is okay. And oh boy, am I first? No, I'm not first. But this is a beautiful, beautiful opening hand. You might think having the two refrains in the hand is a bad thing. It's actually not that bad of a thing because we can use Ostinato to fuse from the stuff on our hand. So, barrier statue of the abyss. Listen, I know I'm playing a lot of like negations and stuff, and I have the one floodgate, but my floodgate takes like effort to do. This does not. That's just bloody barrier statues. Not a big fan, especially considering I'm mostly light monsters. So we'll see. The barrier statues can't be special summoned, right? I could be mistaken, but the game won't let me look. Let's see. No, it can't be special summoned, which is absolute bullshit. But okay, let's go for Ostinato. See where this goes. We'll summon out our Botcha using the cards in our hand because we don't want to use the stuff other ways. We'll use Botcha's effect here. And we'll see where this goes. I mean, if he interrupts me with the big welcome Labrynth, I'll just have to do other things. That's the thing about this deck. Sometimes you have to do other things. But let's go ahead and summon out our third refrain. See, this is more going to be what I've been looking for. That nice little back and forth. You know, you might think, oh, Memphis, you're playing a lockdown deck. Why would you want back and forth? I love back and forth. That is the name of the game. It's called Duel Monsters, not whoever goes first and locks out the opponent first monsters. That'd be a very weird name for a card game. But yes, we're just going to go ahead and summon out our Melodious refrain. And activate our couplet. I'm very grateful. I don't think my opponent has, like, a lot going on right now. They have the trap. They can summon forth one of the two big ladies and pop one of my cards. So to that extent, I do need to be careful. But like, you know, I've got backups, so I don't need to be worried that much. It's not like a worried so much as a anticipation. I don't know when it's gonna happen. It could happen now. It can happen then. It might never happen. We don't know. I don't have anything to quick play destroy this without activating it. I don't have Night Beam. I would love to play Night Beam again, but it's not a good format for Night Beam. But let's see here. Send a Melodious from the deck to the grave. Could do that, but nah, I'm good. So let's summon out Absolute Toot Dragon. Definitely not going to destroy this thing, because then I'm going to get stuff. Definitely not going to pop my Absolute Toot. And let's go beyond the... We must go further beyond the pendulum. And we shall do as such, you know? Take my life points, because who needs life points? Life points are for Aromage players, okay? Shout out to all the people in the chat watching for Master Duel, because I believe the Aromages are coming out either this week or next week, a Master Duel, which I won't be able to afford because I have a bunch of other decks I'm working on. Ah, finally. So a Labrynth monster, okay, finally doing something. A little late to do something, because now I'll have my Nagat and things, but I'll actually... might be able to blow up something of mine, so we'll see where this goes. What does Lovely Lady of the Labrynth do again? Blah, blah, blah. If another monster leaves field by a normal trap effect, which didn't happen, then, okay. I summoned forth Vortex Dragon, which I probably could have put in attack mode, but I don't really need to. Not especially, but let's get our couplet on the board. And I do need to Pendulum Summon before I can use Odd Eyes' effect, actually. Oh, right. Let's see. Another monster, destroy a card in your opponent's hand at random or on their field. Okay. So my opponent will still be able to do some stuff. The one critical weakness, my opponent did do this one right, is that in order for me to get through everything, I need to Pendulum Summon before I can use like other monster effects. So that was actually smart that he waited for me to summon Vortex Dragon and use my Beyond the Pendulum in order to do stuff. But yeah, we'll stop Stovey, so that should at least do something here. Because yeah, I don't think he drew anything he could use with Adian. He's gonna destroy Vortex Dragon, which kind of sucks, but whatever, dude. Whatever, nerd. Alright. Pendulum Summon. Extra deck. Hand. And that's enough, because I need to keep Saphira in the hand. So we'll summon out Couplet. We'll summon out Our Lady. And since I do need... Oh, let's... Oh, there we go. I thought something would stop me from summoning for a second. No, it's my opponent just kind of reading my cards. Which is fine. I like it when my opponent reads my cards. It means they're thinking. They're using their brains. But we're going to summon this thing. Infernal Flame Banshee. If you don't have the flag, this will get you the flag. And then we're going to add this to my hand. And if I lock him out of Dark Monsters, I'm pretty sure my opponent just kind of loses. I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure you're just boned at that point. So let's go ahead and use Saphira's effect, as we do. Hey, boo-boo. Picnic baskets. And get our Scully Guardian, Guardian of the Skulls. And pretty much, like, this won't be the absolute lockdown, but considering what my opponent has at the moment, it kinda is at the same time. So we'll summon out Skull Guardian and activate both the effects. So I'll search a monster, and Lo will come to the board. At this point, it really does. I mean, I could leave Couplet and Banshee on the board, actually. Doesn't really matter if they're on the board so much. But let's go ahead and add Saravis for a little bit of protection. Lo is going to activate, and she's going to search me out some more stuff. And in this case, it's already had Barrier. I'm going to get... I usually get Radiance. There is another spell, the Blessing of the Voiceless Voice, which... It's a good one-of sort of thing. It recovers my banished cards. But I actually want to have this banished right now. Because, as I will show in a moment, it's very important to have that card banished. Very important, because now we're going to use Nemesis Flag's effect, which will return this banished monster back to my deck in order to summon himself out. And then, I can use Nemesis Flag in order to search out my Nemesis Protoss, which will just completely ruin this guy's day. Because this card is absolutely ridiculous. Been banned for a while for a very good reason. So we're going to banish 3 monsters, different attributes. We have lots of different attributes, but only ones that matter are the ones that my opponent has at the moment. Because we're going to summon out our Nemesis Protoss, and we're going to use his special ability, which is to take one attribute that's currently on my board, destroy all monsters on the field with that attribute, and then neither player can summon monsters of that attribute for a turn and a half. Which, for a deck that's all dark, is a bad thing. So yeah, my opponent's pretty much boned. But we'll use Silence Force. Gonna go ahead and... I think it's actually a better name for this. I mean, Voiceless Voice sounds pretty cool too, but, you know, Silent Forcing? At least if the spell had kept that name, I think that would have been neat. I think that would have been cool. Let me think about this. I guess I'll just get my Blessing. Why not? There's really nothing else to search out at the moment, so there you go, Chad. That's what you can do. I keep calling everybody Chad. I've been streaming too much. I've been streaming too many times. So, let's see. Yeah, let's go ahead and recover the ritual spell. There is reason to keep the ritual spell in the graveyard, because if you lose the ritual, then you can banish this to summon out another one of your monsters from your deck. But I don't really care. I don't think it really matters when this is my end board. I started with very little. One Ostinato led to all this. I don't even have, like, you know, I don't even have Vortex Dragon or Appaloosa the Bruiser or anything like that. I just have these little fangs up in here. So, looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. So is that going to be? Yeah, that's more than enough game. It's very easy to one-shot your opponent with this deck. Like I said, you can go second with it. It's not ideal in this modern age, but it is something you can do. So there you go, folks. That's the fourth duel. Do we need to do a fifth duel? Not really. Much as I would love to do a fifth duel just for the hell of it, I think that's good enough because that's really the whole idea of this deck. This is like pretty much as close to the end board as we're gonna get, and you know, like I said, the other alternative stuff to go into the end board, we already showed that up more or less earlier. So let's go for the end screen. Alrighty, everybody. So our Melodious Diva, Voiceless Voice, with a hint of the Bystials. They were there. They just didn't. They decided not to show up. They just did not. But that's okay. But the deck works phenomenally well. It's actually pretty busted of a deck, and honestly, this might be more of annoying of a thing than like Horus ever did. I don't know. Comment in the comments. That's a new thing on YouTube. You got to leave them comments. Which is more annoying, Horus or Voiceless Voice combined with Melodious Diva? One is freaking Horus. The other can set up like 6 negates in one turn. So let me know what you guys think of that one. But yeah, that's the deck, everybody. I hope you have very much enjoyed it. I forgot to say it earlier, but big shout out to Mr. JRPG King, who asked us to take a look at these lovely little voiceless cards. And thanks to Harry on the Discord, which is currently still being implemented. We're still working on putting up the Discord, but he found me on Discord anyway. So thanks to him for suggesting we try out the Melodious variant of this. And I like how this one turned out, even though the Bystials didn't do anything. I'm glad I went with these over just going with, you know, Ash Blossom, Droll Lock, Bird, Effect, Failure, as always everyone else does. But here's the deck list. If y'all want to try this deck out, I highly recommend it. It's a good time. You know, play it while Arc Nemesis Protoss is still legal. So here's the deck. Main deck, 1 Protoss, 3 copies of Bystial Rebellion, 1 Saravis the Dragon Sage, 3 copies of Saphira the Dragon Queen, 1 each of Drewsworm, Magnum Hut, and Serenir, 2 copies of the Couplet of the Melodious, which could be 1 if you feel like it, but I recommend 2 just in case of bricks. 3 copies of Refrain, because she's the most important one. 1 copy of Flag, because we only need to, you know, go for 1 Protoss, so no reason to search out more than once. 3 copies of Diviner, just to set up things in the grave, change levels, things of that nature. Most often than not, usually it's for Herald. 2 copies of Low. You might think 3 of this card because it's so important to the deck, and you could do that too, but because we have 2 of this, that searches out the spell that also searches that, so we're already playing essentially 5 of that and 6 with 1 for 1. 2 is plenty. You could play 3 if you wanted, but 2 is enough, at least in my mind. So we also have Saravis to protect from targeted stuff. 1 Saphira, the Divine Dragon of Voiceless Voice, which we didn't summon today, but all it really does is recover cards during the end phase and does some discarding of cards as well when it attacks. So it has some uses for going second, but we didn't really see it today. 2 copies of the Skull Guardian, Guardian of Little Skulls, which is our main boss monster, makes himself huge, has an Omni Negate, etc. We have 1 for 1, searching out low easy. 3 copies of Ostinato, because it's absolutely broken in this deck. 2 copies of Pre-Prep, because it searches Ritual, Spell, and Monster. 1 copy of Melodious Concerto for our fusion. 2 copies of the Prayers of the Voiceless Voice, because we need a Ritual Spell to Ritual Summon, obviously. 1 Call by the Grave, because even though we are playing like this big old deck, and this is the only thing we have to counter hand traps, we still want to counter hand traps if we can. 1 copy of Blessing the Voiceless, because it lets me recover stuff. And I can do ritual summons when a non-ritual is summoned. So it lets me ritual summon during my opponent's turn as well. So it's an interesting card. We don't play it as often. More importantly, we have 3 copies of the Barrier, because it searches out our voiceless monsters and also protects our monsters as well. My own concession to it, like a modern sort of hand trappy thing. 3 Imperms, just in case you're going second, you just want to be able to stop your opponent from doing stuff. 1 Branded Beast, because we do have the Rebellion, just a little bit more interruption of your opponent. Same with the Radiance of the Voiceless, because you can just get rid of this card to destroy your opponent's cards, even the number of rituals you have. Or you can shuffle your monsters of the ritual or spell variety from your hand or grave to the deck, and then get more voiceless monsters from your deck. So unclogs things. For the extra deck, we have very basic things. We have Masquerade, of course. We do have Bloom Harmonist, which I almost never make in this deck, but I like to have it just in the off chance that I need the darn thing. We have Beyond the Pendulum, which is just there to, you know, search out more Pendulum monsters, allow us to just, you know, plus off having the Pendulums. I mean, you're playing a Pendulum deck, you gotta play Pendulum Beyond the Pendulum. She's just a good girl. Nightmare Unicorn, in case things go rather south and you just kind of need this thing at the top of Masquerade. We We have Appaloosa, which is like the big rank 4 we want to go into more often than not to negate stuff. Access Code Talker, if we get into a late game and we just need to beat over things, that's very nice. Underworld Goddess is here in case my opponent's playing big, beefy boss monsters, and I just need something to get around those. One copy of Infernal Flame Banshee, because we are easily able to make rank 4, and this searches out my searcher that searches the big nasty die. Then we have one Abyss Dweller, in case my opponent's like abusing the graveyard too much and we want to say no to it. It's also a different attribute. One important thing is you want to have lots of different attributes in the graveyard for when we go to Protoss. One Absolute Dragon, because we just link this guy off to get our Vortex on the field. Bleh. One Herald of the Arc Light, which we ditch with our Herald of the Divine, which allows us to search out ritual, spell, or monster. 2 Botches for our main combo, which, you know, we don't do much else with Botcha, but when she does hit the graveyard, she just revive monsters, so she's really good for the combo. 1 copy of Vortex Dragon, just so we have that negate. And then I have Flowering Etoile, the Melodious Magnificent, which, you know, I can make. It's not easy to make it, but if my hand is absolute garbage, but I've got Ostinato off, if my opponent's able to interrupt it or something for some reason, then this is something I can also make. It's not always the best thing to make, but it's something I can make, therefore I throw it in here just as an optional tech option. You can really put whatever you want in this last thought, but that's what I went here. So as for the side deck, a couple things I considered with this deck. With all the light darks we have going on with like the Bystials and things, I considered more of a chaosy theme with this deck, you know, Chaos Dragon, Leviathan, and the like. Zaborg, the Mega Monarch, old school ritual support, funnily enough. It's more setup dependent because you need to tribute summon this guy, but if you can, you nuke 8 of your extra deck cards, which can include 3 copies of Herald, and then you nuke 8 cards of your opponent's extra deck. So, you know, if you want to go old school cool, then I would recommend trying Zaborg. We have plenty of light monsters in this deck. We special summon plenty, so, you know, Zaborg is not a bad option. There's also the Chaos monsters. Like I said, Chaos was an option. Incantations, which can go for Zaborg as well. Though probably not as necessary because we already, like I said, summon enough light monsters, especially with the Melodious Divas here. We have another low if you feel like you need the darn thing. I don't know why there's another Access Code Talker here, but there is Dynamondo, which is a link monster that's specifically made for, you know, ritual monsters. So it's an option here. You know, if you have a bunch of rituals in the grave, it's pretty good. But it takes a lot of setup to make this guy really work it out. But it's an option. And since we don't really need the extra deck past the first turn of going into everything, you could consider things like Dogmatic Punishment if you want to interrupt your opponent more, just throwing an Atis instead of our duel. So that's an option. It's an option. So that's the deck, everybody. I hope you very much enjoyed it. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to comment, because that's a new important thing on YouTube. You go to the comments. Remember, Horus or Voiceless, which is the more annoying deck? Let me know. Yeah, so like, comment, consider subscribing to help the channel keep growing, because that's what we want to do. We just keep going upper and upper. That's what we want to do. So next time on the channel, I keep losing my bloody list, and I think I got to rewrite the darn thing. I have a bunch of decks I really want to look at, and a bunch of decks I need to look at, so we're getting to it. We're getting through the list slowly but surely, and I'd like to get a couple more videos out this week as well. So thanks for watching, everybody. Your boy, the Memphis Accelerate, signing out. Until next time, y'all stay safe. Y'all stay happy. You have a good one. Till next time, y'all take care.